All right. All right. We are live. Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Empringham. I am the CEO and co-founder of the AI Training Academy, where we train virtual assistants, marketing managers, and even CEOs to be AI marketing ninjas with a potent combination of tools, technologies, training, and live coaching. If you'd like more information on that, we'll make that available today. We are really excited to be talking to Martin Kogan. He's a very successful tech entrepreneur with an impressive background in tech and AI industry. We're both members of entrepreneur organizations, so I'm really excited to have him here. He's going to be introducing some technology today that is truly spectacular, that is really groundbreaking. It's going to blow you away. We're really excited. We're going to be getting an advanced look at some of this technology today. So if you're interested in AI technology that's truly groundbreaking, hang out for a few minutes and you're going to take a look at it. Martin is going to be speaking at a MyEO event on April 14th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Build a New Business with AI. Kind of like we have a podcast here in the States and around the world. It's called How I Built This. So this event is going to be featuring 4 or 5 entrepreneurs that have built AI companies. And people are going to get a chance to look at how they built it, what inspired them to build it. You're going to be getting an advanced look at it today. Martin has worked for major companies such as Yahoo and MySpace and founded Headway, a mobile advertising platform that he later sold and was acquired by a New York Stock Exchange public company, EVC, in 2017. And he's now the CEO and founder of Almaya, an AI conversational video company that's dedicated to improving people's lives through technology. So with that introduction, I'm super excited to introduce Martin. Martin, thank you for being on our Game Changers, our first episode of Game Changers.
Yes. Thank you so much, Scott. That was a great intro, and I'm super excited to be here.
Excellent. So let's get right into it. Tell me a little bit about your background and what inspired you to start this AI business, and tell us a little bit about this business.
Sure. So it was probably during the pandemic back in 2020 that I had this idea, but it was actually an idea that was always in my mind. Ever since I was a kid, I used to record my parents and grandparents, as a journalist, even when I was 10 years old, because I wanted to preserve some of their wisdom. I thought, they are so important to me. And so I would just get my camcorder, the old VHS, and just ask them questions just for the sake of safeguarding their knowledge. Grandma, tell me about your recipes, or Dad, tell me about your jokes. I wanted to register everything. And then in the middle of the pandemic, I realized that, the time had come for a platform, a technology that would actually make it easy for anyone to interview or safeguard everything their loved ones learned in their lives. Whether it's family history, where does your last name comes from, the history of your mom, of your dad, or specific advice about certain topics, right? Like today, if I want to ask my dad something, I just, I call him and he'll reply, "Hey Dad, I need an advice because, I don't know, I had this fight with a friend and I feel anxiety. So what should I do?" And then he will give me an advice. But what I'm trying to do is kind of create like a library of different advices and snippets of wisdom and make it available for whoever you choose, probably your loved ones. So I was trying to find this technology. I didn't find it. And I said, damn, I'm going to use it. I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to share it with the world because I think the world needs this.
So it sounds like you was inspired initially to sort of preserve a historical record of loved ones.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Excellent. So for the people that are joining, you're about to get an advanced look at something truly incredible. So now bring it forward. You start experimenting. AI starts taking off. How do you start to take it from this vision of preserving historical records of family members to what it is today? And what is it you're working on? What does it do for people? And what does it mean? And then we're going to get into some use cases. We're going to show some examples.
So we launched the Almaya app, which is available on any store right now for free. In January 2022. The idea of the app asks different questions, and the idea is that our users record selfie videos of themselves interacting, answering those questions. Questions can be things like, what is your name? what's your favorite food, which book inspired you, to things that are deeper, like tell me something that happened to you in your teenage years that defined your personality. The idea is that I record videos and eventually I'm creating a legacy. It's like building your own autobiography in the form of short videos. That app is live, it has thousands of users. But when ChatGPT launched in November last year, only 5-6 months ago,
Yeah.
I said, okay, we should be able to make this much more automatic. I also seen other technologies out there, deep fakes and voice cloning. And we realized that some people, they want this, but they are too lazy. They don't want to spend time creating the videos. And some people want this, but they want it from dad or mom. And maybe dad and mom are gone. So they don't have the chance to record everything. But they have a photo of dad, they have an audio of dad. So with that, we can create a deep fake, and we can create a representation, an emulation that looks and sounds like them. But they also have information about that. And if they don't, they can just write it down. With all that, we put it together in our technology, and with the power of OpenAI, we can emulate a conversation with a person. And that's what we're trying to do. Who wouldn't want to be able to talk to their parents and grandparents even after they're gone? Who wouldn't want their kids, when they grow up and they have questions about grandma or grandpa, maybe grandma and grandpa are gone, to make an intro and say, okay, let's go and ask grandma yourself and see what she has to say about certain things. So those are the reasons why I built this. And I'm looking forward to show it to you.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to segue there. I want to show this. I thought this was pretty cool. Kevin was talking about Headway, saved his life. Best app ever. And then finally, if you want to be the smartest man on earth, get the Headway app. So Kevin is a dyed-in-the-wool fan of Headway. So with that, let's transition. I think people are excited. Walk us through. So we've got an idea: historical preservation, photo. Give us a look at the app and maybe a practical use. And we'll go into some use cases and we'll take questions, hopefully more from Kevin. Anybody else?
Can I show you how it works?
Show us how it works.
Okay, so let me just present my screen. There we go.
I was trying to explain it to my kids last night when they saw me doing this. You want me to just add it to the stream here?
Yes.
Let me know
if you see my screen.
Yep, I got it's added to the display.
Yeah. So basically, first I created a virtual version of Scott. I'm going to show how it works, but then I'm training it now. So I ask it the question, and it says, "Who are your parents? Is this info correct? Your mother's name is Mary Linda, and your father is Richard Dana. Is that correct?"
That's correct.
Okay. Then we created a deepfake video of yourself saying exactly that info. So let's take a look at it.
My mother's name is Mary Linda Empringham. She goes by Linda. And my father's name is Richard Dana Empringham. He goes by Dana.
Okay. Is it you?
That's me-ish. It's me-ish. That is the sound of my voice for sure.
Did you record that? Is that a video of yourself? No.
No, I didn't record that.
Okay, so let's ask yourself some questions. Okay. What would you like to know about yourself?
Oh, about me?
Yeah.
What are my favorite movies?
What are your favorite movies? Let's see. Okay. Rocky Muddy. Okay. Once the text is generated, because again, it comes from info that we preloaded here, we can generate either a video or an audio.
Rocky Rudy Full Metal Jacket, Animal House, and Braveheart.
I love this. So let's generate an audio. Okay. I'm going to put here and see what happens. Every time I generate an audio, it uses one of the credits you have here on the top right of the screen. So
those are indeed my favorite movies.
Let's see.
When it comes to movies, I'd have to say Rocky, Rudy, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, Animal House, Braveheart.
Can you say the same thing with your real voice?
The voice is spot on. When it comes to movies, I'd have to say Rocky, Rudy, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, Animal House, and Braveheart.
When it comes to movies, I'd have to say Rocky, Rudy, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now, Animal House, Braveheart.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yes, this is amazing.
Sorry, I don't normally cuss on broadcast, but that is wild.
So let's show our users how this is done, right? So this is, I'm going to start from scratch. Let's go to the emulation library, and I'm going to create someone new. Oh, by the way, this is me, right? So you can ask me a question like, what's your mission in life? Actually, I'm going to ask the same question. What are your favorite movies? So let's see, what are my favorite movies?
Oh, wow.
The Fountain by Darren Aronofsky. What else? Origins. Let's listen to my voice and see if it's actually, the accent is a little bit better in the emulation.
Godfather trilogy.
Than my actual
solid.
accent. But let's see. I'm recording
William
the audio,
Wallace.
and there it goes. First, I will say my favorite movies. Well, there are several. One that I loved is called The Fountain. Now let's listen to the emulation.
My favorite movies, well, there are several. One that I loved is called The Fountain, the Darren Aronofsky. And that spectacular is a story of the same protagonists among that.
Okay. In this one, you might realize that the text is kind of weird. And the reason is because the original info I uploaded is in Spanish, my mother language, right? So I uploaded to Spanish, then I did a translation, and that can create some inconsistencies in the middle. But if you just do it in your language, it works great. So let's create a new Scott and show our users how it's done. It really takes 1 minute. So all we need is 3 very specific data sources. Let's put in a name. So it's going to be Scott3. So we upload a photo, and we're going to use this one.
And Kevin, good question. When we get a little break, I'll ask Martin.
Let's upload an audio. It's going to be, this audio is just, you just recorded 30 seconds of you just talking. So we can clone your voice. And then this is the most important thing, right? Because right now, this avatar can sound like you and look like you. But we wanted to say things you would have said. So how do we do that? We need to upload sources of information.
Okay.
In this case, we have an autobiography builder, which takes 10 to 15 minutes to complete. But basically, it's lots of questions about your life. So what we just did is we're ready to train and generate the emulation. So I'm going to press here, generate emulation. You get a disclaimer. This is very important. Again, we need to tell our users, you're not actually talking to Scott. You're talking to a virtual representation of Scott, right? This is for entertainment. Do not use it to make important decisions, etc. So I'm going to continue. And there we go in Scott 3. So let's ask you a question. What were you doing between 2000 and 2010?
Gosh, I got to think about that.
Were you busy managing and expanding your business? Is it true?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's generate a video video takes like 10 seconds. But the important thing is, I'm not sure if you provide me that info exactly, right?
No, but it's funny. I didn't provide that info between 2000 and 2010, but I think what I did is I provided the information of when I graduated college, and then around when I started a family, and so it's piecing it together.
Yes, exactly. And that's, we use OpenAI's API to do it. So let's listen to it from you.
Between 2000 and 2010, I was busy managing and expanding my businesses. It was a challenging yet rewarding time for me as I worked hard to achieve success and grow my ventures. I also focused on spending time with my family and making sure they were happy and well taken care of.
Yeah, I think because there's some questions about what's most important to me. And I talked about my family, my wife, my kids, number one.
Okay. So that simulate me. Happy to answer any questions.
Wow. Wow. There's so many questions. Like, okay, so the process, I have to compliment you on the process. It was like upload a picture, do a little recording. So it got my voice, maybe 30 seconds. The voice is just spot on. And then the text, filling out a little bit of information in about 10 minutes. Here's my first question is, where do you see this going? Like, the way I look at this, the technology is as bad as it's ever going to get right now. And it's just going to get better and better and better and better. So I think the key for me is I look at this, I start imagining where it can go and what it can do. What do you imagine it can do? And what are some of your users imagining it can do and already doing? What are some use cases?
There are many use cases. The one that really inspires me, and the reason why I'm building this company, is the family use case, right? So if you've seen the Superman movies from the 80s, there is this famous scene, when Superman is in the ice cave.
Yeah.
And he connects with his ancestors from planet Krypton. So what I think would be very cool is, right now I have a son who's 3 years old, and the other one it's almost almost born, right? It's going to be born at any second. So whenever they grow up and they start asking questions about the family, and I also have my grandma. Grandma's 87 now. I love her. She's so important to me, and we spend lots of time together. And hopefully, when my kids are old enough and they want to know more about grandma, they can ask her themselves. But if that is not possible, I want them to put on their VR helmets, glasses, whatever it is that will exist in 15 years from now, and basically meet grandma and talk to her and ask her questions and listen to her. And I think that in the same way right now, we can, look at black and white photographs, or there are family albums, or some people just write books with memoirs or biographies. I think we humans will be doing the same in 10 years from now. But because the technology enables us to have an experience that is so close to reality, I can see, people in the future owning digital versions of their loved ones. I can see that as a normal thing. Our kids and grandkids, they will all have digital representations of us, and they will have conversations with us, and we will be able to train those representations, right? Because we want them to say things we would have said in real life, right? So that's the future we're envisioning. Of course, this tech has so many different applications, right? From customer service to books. Imagine every book, it now comes with an Emulate Me version containing their main characters. So you are reading Tolkien, or you are reading Harry Potter, right? And you can just ask some of the characters questions and they will reply. So again, there are many different applications from this technology. This creates a new medium as well, which is interactive conversations with avatars that look and sound like real people. I can't wait to see what happens.
Well, I was thinking about something. Martin, you're my hero. I was thinking about something. My father passed away in November. And as you started to talk about having an avatar and a bio, I can imagine that living on in the virtual world. And I can't even imagine how raw it would be for me right now in my life to have a conversation with my dad.
Obviously, we're touching some boundaries here, ethical boundaries, and we want to leave it to each user what they want to do with that specific cases. Now, I think that, you know, after the grieving process, it's over. I think this can be very therapeutical and healing, not just for kids who lost their parent, not kids, but, you know, people who lost their parents, but also for their families, right? So, for example, I think it's much cooler to honor someone you really loved in their birthdays, for example, by just getting the family together and say, okay, let's talk to grandpa. Let's see what he has to say. Let's ask him questions. You know, it's a way of, it's paying homage to that person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things we're hoping is that most people, I mean, some people will use it for themselves, but most people will try to emulate someone they really care about who is not here with us anymore.
So I'd like to try something. There's some new people that are watching. Could we go back to the emulation of me for a moment?
Yes.
And I would imagine my kids asking this question. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm curious because I did fill in some of my values and some of my beliefs.
Okay.
Would it be possible to imagine it was my kids asking dad, and I'm gone, I've left the earth, and saying, Dad, do you have a philosophy of life that you could share? Or could you share your philosophy of life? I'm really curious what it says and if it's close to mine. Oh, forgive me. I'll share the screen here. So I'm sort of imagining this would be my kids saying, hey, Dad, you know, what's your philosophy?
They will phrase the question, Dad, could you share your philosophy of life?
Or I guess just, can you share your philosophy of life? And it's coming from my kids.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, here, let me move that. Okay.
Okay. I just pressed on send. I typed the question. Okay. So I'm creating a video. And the first thing you get always is the text answer, right?
Yeah.
Every time it creates one, it consumes one credit for text.
Wow.
Let's see if, I mean, did you record this? Is it?
No, I did. I said bits of this. It strung it together. So it strung it together because I said, you know, always have I think there was something about what, like, you have a catchphrase or something that said,
Let's listen it from you directly.
Sure, my philosophy of life is to always strive towards being the best version of oneself, to set daily aims and work towards achieving them with hard work, honesty, and bravery. I believe in having a strong spiritual foundation, conservative values, and to never give up in the pursuit of happiness. It's important to have a positive image of your life, your family, and your future, and to work on bringing that to fruition every single day. Ultimately, the most important thing in life is to cherish your loved ones, protect them, and to never take them for granted.
wow.
How did it feel?
Yeah, it pieced together some of the things that I answered in different areas and put it together nicely.
I guess the emulation will be as good as the data behind it.
Yeah.
So the more you write down, the more you create, you know, the better the emulation will be.
I absolutely love this. For those of you who are on the stream, please, I'd love to hear your questions. If you have a question for Martin, he's created an AI software that allows you to upload an image of yourself, upload some audio, upload some basic text about you, and then it creates an emulation. And as a way, one of the inspirations behind this was to create a historical documentation of people, of loved ones who may be passed, and then there'll be other use cases as well. So I invite you to ask any questions of Martin while we've got it for another 10, 15 minutes. Martin, is there any concerns you have about this, either A, on the negative, being used in a negative way, or is there any aspirational ways that you haven't already discussed that you could imagine, you know, a year from now, 5 years from now? And it's crazy how fast things are changing in the space. You know, where do you see this going on the negative and or the positive that you're going to have to set some guardrails up for?
Let's start with the negative. when we were creating the terms and conditions and the privacy policy, we had to think of all the wrong use cases, for this technology. And obviously, we are trying to avoid that and to detect those. But every time a user signs up for our service, for example, they cannot use it for any malicious activity, for cheating, for fraud, because even your voice, it really sounds like you. So
It sounds spot on.
So I mean, for us, that's a big concern for us, and that's why we have lots of warnings of what you can use this tech for and what you can't. Then there's the psychological aspect, right? We want our users to understand that they're not. I mean, even if your kids are using this is not dad. This is something dad created that looks like you, sounds like you, and may say things you would have said, with a high level of accuracy, but that is not that. It's something that created. It's the same thing as reading a book written by yourself. It's not, it's not yourself, right? It's a book written by yourself.
Right.
So I think this type of technological advancements always push the limits of and the boundaries of what's real and what's not, what's ethical and what is not. For some people, talking to their loved ones who are gone can be therapeutical. For some others, it can be very painful. So we'll leave it up to the users to decide what is good and what is not. We are already working with, for example, we're working with people with early stage dementia.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because as soon as they are diagnosed, we can't cure that yet, but at least we can provide a tool so they create a backup of their minds, right? Basically, as soon as the doctor tells you, look, you have Alzheimer it's very early, okay? We want those people to be able to start recording right away who they are, what they learned, who they loved, what they do in life for themselves. So it's good for training, for memory training, but also to leave it, to the loved ones. So that's another one of our use cases. We already partnered with several organizations. One of them is VTI. They train trainers, so they train caregivers and caretakers for people with mental health disorders. So again, I think this technology used well can be amazing from a therapeutic standpoint. After this, I'm having a meeting with some therapists that they're trying to understand how to use it in their own therapy, in their own practice, depending on every use case. And we have therapists in the team because, again, our approach is very respectful, right? We want to ask the experts of how should we handle this? What should we do with this use case as well?
I think it's incredible. While you were talking, I was just sort of imagining that it's almost like a modern day version of a diary, but next level. It's like, imagine instead of going back and going through some of my father's old books, some of his diary or some of his materials, to actually go and have a interactive conversation with him. It is just next level. It is next level.
This is another emulation we created. It's just a different photograph, but the rest is the same.
So Steve said, had a meeting with someone from an Alzheimer's nonprofit here in Orange County this morning. He'd be interested in introducing you. Scott can put us in touch. Afterwards, I'll introduce you to Steve. Steve is a good friend and co-founder of the AI Training Academy.
That's amazing. Let me say one final thing. We have this technology is called Emulate Me, and then the Almaya app. They both work together because the Almaya app, the idea for the app is that, let me show you really quick, is that people replies to the right questions. Because the emulation is only as good as the data behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want people to spend a considerable amount of time replying to some questions. So let me show you here in English. The app is available in English and in Spanish, how it works. So basically, you know, the app, similar to Tinder, you know, it asks questions, right? Lots of questions, different questions. Whenever our users are ready, they just press on the button and start recording themselves. We made it, you know, the users can fill the chapters of their lives. So they start as beginners. Sorry. So they answer very simple questions, right? Like, what did I like to do as a child? You know, simple stuff. As they advance, you know, things gets deeper. So, for example, you know, things about spirituality. Why did I come
Wow.
to the world? Do I believe in God? What is God to me? So everything they record, it gets added to the legacy, and then you can have a conversation with them. You know, just press there and start having a conversation. So we're urging our users to. I mean, the ideal scenario is if you're alive, we don't need the emulation from you now. I mean, you can just do it with your own voice and face and everything, although it's cool. But you're alive, just use the Almaya app. Still, if you want to create an emulation of yourself or someone who cannot make it, use the Emulate Me product. Eventually, we will just bundle them together.
You know, it's interesting. So Steve and both Steve and Kevin are asking interesting questions. So I'm watching the thread, and there's questions about what's truth. You know, what is the truth? And then Steve makes the point, my own perception of the life I've lived has changed as I get older. And I imagine, Steve, what you're referring to is perhaps your beliefs or perceptions about your life and the outside world have changed, have modified as you've taken in new information and had new experiences. And so somebody's updating their information that would be available. I'm wondering, to what degree can you then start to plug into information that's out there? For example, stuff I've posted on Instagram, Facebook, other information or other blogs. To what extent can you grab that information and begin to modify what I've input?
So right now, I mean, the main blocker that we have is the ability of any LLM, such as ChatGPT, to basically get everything you have been posting for the last 15 years and try to make sense out of it. And hopefully there's enough info to come up with answers. But what people post on social media, sometimes it's not enough to build a real emulation of who you are. So I guess as AI gets better, ChatGPT gets better, and Llama gets better, you know, we'll see better emulations. I like what Steve was saying, right? His own perception of life is changing. Yes, that's the idea, right? We grow and we evolve and we change. So one of my favorite questions is what was your political belief when you were a teenager? And I bet most of the people had experienced some changes in the world, right? So that's one of my favorite questions, because most people, they say B and then it's C when they grow up. So I think it's, again, doing the process. I mean, just answering the questions is therapeutical, because it will make you think about yourself. I mean, while you are creating a legacy, while you're creating something important, right, the biography of your life, you also get the chance to reflect on your memories, your beliefs, etc. Right now, what we can in Emulate Me, what we can accept is TXT documents. So anything in the form of text, ideally a biography. We still have some issues. It's not ours, actually, it's OpenAI, understanding that when something is written in third person instead of first person. But again, this is also new. I'm sure all these things will be fixed within the next 6 months.
Yeah, as I can imagine, if I'd written a biography, if I had written, like I'm in the process of writing a book, I could take that book at some point and upload that, and that would be drawn upon as some expertise or some life lessons, I would imagine, that could complement whatever I'm uploading in the text document to at some point.
Actually, if you are the author, you can give your book readers an access to your own URL, like emulate.me/Scott's book. And then they will be able to ask any questions, and you will reply with your face and your voice, just whatever the book will reply. Like oh, in which chapters do you talk about, I don't know, how to be successful in business?
Right.
And you will just give the reply right away. I mean, those are other use cases.
I love that. Really interesting. Really interesting. As we wrap up, I would invite anybody to ask any other questions. Steve and Kevin, you guys are asking great questions. As you look forward, oops, hang on a second. As you look forward, Martin, what is the next step people should take? How should people get in contact with you? And I've posted some information in the chat. Is there anything you'd like to leave people with as a final thought as we start to wrap up about this technology or about where you're going with the technology?
Sure. So you can sign up now to use Emulate Me. It's www.almayalife.com/emulate-me.
Is it okay to post that link in the chat?
Please, yes. Should I?
www. Yeah, you can post it, or I can post it. AMAL Almaya.
Almaya. ALAMAYA. Almaya. Life.com/emulate-me.
Okay, I'm going to spell it back to you. AL.
Can I post it?
MAYA life.com/emulate-me.
Yeah, just put it there. Almaya.
All right, great.
AlmayaLife.com/emulate-me. That's perfect. Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So you can sign up now. There's a wait list, but we're opening it gradually. So Scott is going to be himself. He's going to be one of our early adopters, right?
Yeah. I can't wait to show my kids. No, I think it's going to be really interesting. Tonight when they get home from school, I pick them up from school. You gave me an idea of now I could actually sit them down and say, ask Dad a question. Ask Dad his philosophy of life, his favorite movies, favorite books, whatever.
Great. So we're giving some free credits to our first users. And then if you invite people, you get more credits and eventually you can pay for it. But the idea, I mean, we're trying to create a viral loop here, right? So users attracting other users so we can grow organically.
Wonderful. I would invite everybody watching to do this while it's still available. Go to almayalife.com/emulate-me and get a trial. Get on board, try it, upload an image of yourself, play around with it. It's a really interesting experience. And Martin, I can tell you from having done this last night, it is a therapeutic process to answer those questions. I didn't really think about it beforehand. When you sent me those questions, I started answering it. It really got me thinking. It took me down memory lane. I started thinking about my best friend growing up, Jason Perel, and all the, what was your best, sort of memory growing up. And it really walked me through a history of my life, a brief history of my life, but it was really, really fantastic. It was an interesting experience. So I'm so excited to have met you. I'm also excited to see more of this on the 14th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at the MyEO event. And what chapter are you in EO?
I'm in the Argentina chapter.
And I'm super excited to see where this goes. Steve mentioned, and I think this is appropriate to end on, now combine that with a robot, and it's just going into a whole other new space.
Yes. And Kevin is asking about a Facebook page. Yeah,
yes.
You can go to almayalife.com and there you will find our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. And please sign up and we'll be granting you access very, very soon. So you can create your own smart avatars. That's the idea.
Oh, excellent. You know what? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if I can do this here. www.almayalife.com/emulate-me.
Yes, just almayalife.com and you'll find our social networks, everything there. If you want to write me, it's Martin at almayalife.com.
Okay. Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being with us today. Really excited to get to know you better, and I hope to see you in Argentina in the not too distant future. But thank you so much for being on.
You're amazing, Scott, and this was great. Thank you so much to Kevin, Steve, and everybody replying and being active in the questions. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Fantastic.